foremost, man, I just really appreciate you taking out the time to come and talk Slop with me this morning.
Yeah, I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Glad to be here with you. I'm glad you can come out, to the States, because, like I said, like I always tell you, you're one of the few folks who I, look at as somebody who's really putting in the work. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you.
Right now, it's all love, bro. So, as you may know, man, I've got this platform here where I'm spreading the spores called Talking Slop, where we just chop it up, man, and talk shit, put that divine essence back into the soil to create new life. It's just chopping it up, whatever comes out of it comes out. But there's no structure, I've got no premeditated questions, I just want to vibe and see where we go from there. But how I do start this is just by you introducing yourself, man, tell us who you are and then where we're at, man, what we're doing.
Okay, my name is Ramessu Iyi. I'm the head instructor of the Tamerrian Institute. I'm also Baba Kalindi's son. And I'm, pretty much just, taking the baton as far as, the Tamerrian Institute is concerned. It's pretty much, why Baba made me, you know what I'm saying? He used to tell me that all the time, that's why I made you, you know what I'm saying? So, after his passing, it was literally like passing the basketball to me, you know what I'm saying? The initial shock of his passing kind of didn't dribble at first, you know what I'm saying? But now, I'm slowly bouncing the ball that he passed, you know what I'm saying?
Alright, cool. So let's just start off with the Tamerrian Institute, man, and just as far as, so again, the way I became familiar with your pops was by way of the martial arts, which then led me into dealing with the plant and mushroom technology. But not many people are familiar with the different communities I've learned have different perspectives. So just tell us a bit about the Tamerrian Institute, what that is, because you're now rolling with that. I see you doing some stuff yesterday and on the land as well. So just inform our viewers what that's around.
Well, the Tamerrian Institute is basically a martial arts school. The Tamerrian is actually just the name of the school that we have. It's Tamerri, which is an older name of Kemet, you know what I'm saying? So when you say Tamerrian, you're just saying from like a time period. So it's real old martial arts, real ancient. So Tamerrian Institute is basically about, martial arts and exploring novel states of consciousness, because a lot of people don't realize that martial arts has a psychedelic component to it. Most people, that is, the missing key to folks' martial arts. And a lot of people have a problem with that. They feel they don't need it, but, to each his own. But it's so much evidence that, my father discovered that all of them have psychedelics in them. All of them, even, ninjutsu, tai chi. If you've taken a decent amount of mushrooms, that tai chi, is in psychedelics. I take mushrooms and automatically have my own postures, have my own breath. You know what I'm saying? It comes out of the psychedelics. And people ask me, well, how could you learn martial arts on mushrooms? Well, I'm like, well, you go into these novel states of consciousness, you go into a different realm and experience these things, because mushrooms have you can't even measure the number of things that are in it. There's so many techniques and exotic forms and all of that is in the mushrooms. When you saw Neo take the pill and go step out of the Matrix, he would downloaded Kung Fu. He's like, I know Kung Fu. So that's a easy way to explain how you can learn it, because once you experience something over there, it can go to every dimension, so you can learn it here. I mean, a lot of that stuff is, some of the stuff is for over there though, fighting beings in different realities, because that's what the Tamerrian Institute is about. It's not about just fighting people, it's about fighting in different galaxies and different realities. It's about fighting energy and entities and demons and all that type of stuff. You know, so it's about exploring and going where no man has gone before.
Let me ask, how early was you introduced to these concepts, man? Even concepts, realities.
No, because the way I grew up, I was, you know, I've heard about it, you know, little things. I didn't really take my first experience until I feel like I was a bit old. I was about 17, you know. In my opinion, I feel like, you know, folks should get it earlier than that. But, you know, growing up, you know, I came up in a certain crew, you know, with Voodoo, you know, Jason, O, all of them folks, and they were getting into the mushrooms, and I was the young guy in the crew. So I was like, you know, shoot, you know, I don't want to be the only one who ain't, you know, did my rites of passage yet, because that's a part of it, you know, to going on 5 grams in the dark. So I was like, Bobby, I think I'm ready to take my trip. He was like, all right, you know. He gave me some mushroom. I'm like, how much am I supposed to take? He's like, eat all of that. And I was like, all right. So we went in the dark, and I had my first experience. But growing up, you know, I was kind of always aware, you know, and that's why, you know, like when I have conversations with people and you bring up mushrooms or any psychedelic, they be like, oh, I don't need that. I'm already there. I've seen, you know, entities, and I've had outer body experiences before. And before I've taken trips, I've had outer body experiences. I've seen spirits, you know, especially in our house. Baba had all sorts of stuff going on. But I've seen spirits, I've seen entities that had outer body experiences. I knew spirit reality and stuff like that. But once I took my trip, it was profound confirmation. And it wasn't like, it's like when I have conversations, I'd be like, you know, people be like, I talk to my ancestors, they answer me, you know, in subtle ways. I'm like, subtle? I'm like, I get what you're saying, because walking around in everyday life, you know, my ancestors talk to me subtly. You know, sometimes it's deep, like, oh shit, that was a real confirmation. But when you go into these realms, we could talk face to face, real conversation, like me and you talk. You know, taking a significant dose, you can talk to your ancestors face to face, because you're connected, you know, through your blood, through your DNA, you know, and so when you go into those places, those are the ones that show up, you know, spiritual family. Because shoot, I remember, you know, freaking out when I saw the Black Panther, because once he took the mushroom, or the purple herb as they call it in the movie, once he took the purple herb, you know, they buried him in the dark. He had to go in the dark, and then he woke up in the ancestral realm. And I'm like, I'm like, they've been listening to us, you know, they've been watching. I feel like, you know, they got some people in other realms watching, and they listening to us talk, because some of that stuff in the Marvel movies is absolutely what I've done, like 100%. Like they doing their research for real. Like you hear my father say, like, oh, they doing their research. Like, no, they really doing their research, because I'm like, same thing with Doctor Strange. I'm like, Baba, did you see this? I'm like, the whole Doctor Strange. I'm like, that's what the Tamerrian Institute is all about. Going through portals, fighting Dormammu. You know, that's what it's about. It's not about, you know, just being able to beat up people and, you know, stuff like that. You know, of course, that's part of it too, defending yourself. Because you always had somebody wanting to jump on you, no matter where you're at, over here and over there.
So yeah, there's a lot that comes out of that still. But I remember your pops speaking on, you know, the fact that martial arts comes out of the mushroom, you know, in these various fighting sciences, and a lot of people, I can understand, don't see the connection between psychoactive mushrooms as well as martial arts, because they're given this kind of peace, love and harmony vibe when it comes to psychoactive. So what's your thoughts on how does that tie in? I
mean, all of that type of stuff is modern, you know, the whole peace and love, even in martial arts. You know, you never use your martial arts, you never, you know, you're the last person to fight is the person who uses it. Like, no, ancient martial arts was about, you know, death was a part of it. You know, you know, a real warrior wanted to die in battle to a worthy opponent. You know, so it's about testing yourself, who are you, and stuff like that. And the whole peace and love aspect of it is going into the psychedelics is I have not came across what these other folks have come across, and that kind of lets me know that they're not taking significant doses, because once you take a higher dose for real and stop playing with it, it ain't really no love and peace out in these realms. Now, I kind of take that back. There is peace and love, but that's not all there is, because I talk to people who are supposed to be luminaries and gurus and all of that, and they say everything is peace and divine love, and I'm like, where I've been is some of the most dark, evil places. Now, a lot of dark places are not necessarily evil, they're just dark, but I've been to the evil places, and I've seen some entities that want to trap souls and all that type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? So just going out there, I've seen that it's not all peace and love. And for those who do the smaller doses and see beautiful things and feel peace and love, it's nothing, it ain't nothing wrong with that, but all I'm saying is take a higher dose to go beyond that. And the thing about when you get to these evil places, you get there to overcome what's out there, and once you overcome that, you become such a more powerful being. Just like going back to Dr. Strange, he had to lock himself in there with Dormammu, keep fighting it to overcome, so he can learn how to defeat it. And once he defeated Dormammu, he became a more powerful sorcerer. These people want to stay in the smaller realms, or the low doses, and claim to be these whatever, you know what I'm saying, and they haven't gone beyond that. I want to be the person that goes, that's familiar with this realm, that's familiar with that realm, then go to other places where I'm not familiar. I want to go places where that's not pleasant. I want to test myself, I want to push myself to become more powerful. Same thing with Gandalf. He didn't become Gandalf the White until he defeated the Balrog. He never came across something that powerful to invoke what was in him. Just like anything else, we won't, I truly believe in like X-Men and stuff like that. So our powers won't truly activate until a threat is there to activate it. You know what I'm saying? We got DNA inside of us that are lying dormant, waiting for us to activate it. And one of the ways we can activate it is by taking mushrooms. At certain times, my stuff cuts on, and not at will, but when it's time. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with my father. I've seen him do impossible things. Like, ain't no way that just happened. And then you hear stories from everybody, like it's confirmed that Baba was the real deal. When I talk about him, people be like, "Oh, he just saying that because he is father." I would meet people, and be excited to meet them. Like a famous martial artist. Oh my God, I've been following you. I really love your work. And then they'd be like, what's the name? They'd be like, Iyi. I'd be like, yeah, I'm Kalindi's son. They'd be like, oh my God, the baddest man on this planet I've ever met is your father. And he, so it's confirmed by other people, And Baba was extremely humble. Other people would tell people how great he was. He would never be this, that, and the third. But I would meet people in martial arts and the psychedelic space who claim to be these things, and Baba just be sitting there like, that's all it is.
I feel you, man, for sure. And we're going to speak on Baba, and your relationship with him as his son, but I'm really curious to know as well, and for the viewers, just how does or would that experience with mushrooms benefit you in martial arts, and vice versa? How does your martial arts benefit you with your mushroom experiences?
It pushed me to a different level. It pushed me to truly understand what certain things were, because you can do techniques here and you get it and it makes sense, but once you go into those other realms, it produces a different magical aspect to it. You learn certain words to say, you know, that you can say, I can't say it, but just that you can say here, you can say in a fight. Mushrooms have literally made me a better martial artist. I take trips and learn new techniques, things that, you know, have, you know, because I know a lot, you know, I know what's already in me. It'll bring stuff out of me, but I've learned from different entities will teach you. You know, you can go take a high dose trip and so-called demon will come out and teach you certain things. You know, there's certain moves that you've used to fight a being with 4 arms, you know, something with a tail. You know, you look at, you know, something like that, you be like, why is he, you know, ain't nothing, what are you doing back there? That's because you fighting something that got a tail that could whip across, you know what I'm saying? But the mushrooms literally, you know, activate certain things in you. You know, it'll, you know, be able to see the energy in this realm. You know, you do it so much. You know, a lot of people take mushrooms not that often, but once you constantly take it significant times, that's the things you experience over there bleed over into this reality. You keep going. You know, once you go again, you develop power over there. It develops wherever you are. You know, the seeing things before they happen. You can download. You know, you could download. I've actually done the download into the dream program. You know, take mushrooms to where you can have a dream vividly. You know, learn how to train in your dreams. But you know, that's usually what I'm doing. And you actually fight in other realms, so you become a better fighter. You know, it's not so much training on the other side, it's more fighting. You know, you fight everything. And you've been in so many fights, you know, you may have been in, you know, as, you know, a person in this society, you may not fight that much in this reality, but you go in other dimensions, fight all the time, and it bleeds over to this one to where it's like, you know, fighting everywhere. So you become a better fighter. You know, a lot of martial artists aren't even really good fighters. They can be a good martial artist, doesn't necessarily make them a good fighter. But yeah, the mushrooms definitely improve every aspect of martial arts. And I know from experience, you know, it ain't just, you know, me saying something. I've done it. I became, you know, you train on mushrooms and you do a high dose and, you know, do all sorts of stuff. You know, it's infinite.
You know, I feel you, man. 2 things that come out of that. One, you know, once I started taking mushrooms, it opened up the martial arts in me, which I hadn't done since I was a child. You know what I'm saying? It was like you said, just like automatically you just start feeling it out and doing what you do. And I'm like, where's this coming from? You know, and you know, I was there with my people, and they're like, fucking, when was the last time you done martial arts, bro? I'm like, bro, not since I was a youth, but it just all came out again. And then with that said, I also watched the documentary on Kweda Mutwa, and he was just dealing with the African sciences, fighting sciences, and tying it in with the Zulus and how they use various, you know, entheogens and so forth. But they done an experiment with some judokas, you know, those who practice judo, and they gave them mushrooms. You know, well, first they was training, you know, done their thing, then they gave him mushrooms, came back an hour later, started training. Both fighters basically acknowledged that the person who had taken mushrooms, one, he just became a better fighter. You know, in a nutshell, he was just like, yeah, he was moving quicker. You know, the opponent was saying he was moving faster, and he was just, you know, he found it easier to get out of holds and stuff like that. And the one who had taken the mushrooms, he said exactly what you said. He goes, I could see him move before he moved. Yeah. You know, like he could sense the movements before they happened. It was dope, man.
It gives you the power to see. You know, even on low doses, you can see things. You know, not just, you know, things that you would never see before. Somebody put you in some sort of hold. You be like, hey, wait a minute, I can get out this way. You know, I never thought of that before. You know, the mushrooms will literally give you answers way out, because mushrooms are conscious. Mushrooms, if you on mushrooms, it'll say, hey, you know, why don't you move this way? Why don't you shift your hips? Why don't you step that way? You know what I'm saying? The mushrooms know martial arts because, you know, it enhances, I want to say damn near everything. You know, if you're a musician, if you play music, you on mushroom. The funkadelics, you know, they weren't, you know, that funky until they started taking psychedelics. So it enhances everything, and every now and then we'll train on some low doses, or maybe I decide to take a little mushrooms and go into class, and if we sparring, one of my teachers was like, what's different today, you know what I'm saying? Because one of my teachers, no matter what, he could put it on me for no, but if I take some mushrooms, it literally, whatever he does, I can move before he does it, because I know what he's about to do. It heightens your senses, it heightens it tremendously, you know what I'm saying? And it's almost cheating, you know what I'm saying? So it improves everything. The energy, you can see energy sometimes, you know what I'm saying? That's where I know where Tai Chi came from. You just relax. Your hands automatically. Never been taught it, anything like that, but you just automatic, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel you, man. I get that, just the energy, because then a couple of things come out of that. But even like the Indian dancing, and just like how it's all what's it called, like symmetrical and stuff, But then, as I saw yesterday, you got the dance posture. You think, oh, these guys are just dancing. The next thing you know, you're getting thrown over. You're getting thrown on your back. So it's just like, how it's the same movements and postures, but what comes out of it is different, but it's the moving of energies, I guess, man. And it made me think of Jimi Hendrix, man, just when he spoke about how he played music, he was, man, I'm not just playing the music, I'm seeing colours. Every time I'm playing a note, I'm seeing particular colours, so I'm playing the colours, not the notes. You know what I'm saying?
Like an artist, you know what I'm saying? They see what's on the canvas already, it comes out of it automatically. So the same thing with martial arts. The mushroom produced these things. They weren't thinking about these movements and stuff like that before taking these psychedelics. They were good fighters. They could fight something off, but they weren't thinking of all that's inspired by psychedelics. And you see what it actually does. Things may look beautiful, but in that is some real power and some real technique. You think, that looks pretty, but he can't fight like that. All I'm is you know what I'm saying? So, but the mushrooms, psychedelics have done that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just, like I said, I just want people to experience it. Don't take my word for it. And a lot of people want to knock it, especially in the martial arts world. Oh, I'm good, okay. After a while, how many times can you punch and kick? How many can you do the physical training? How long can you do that? And even if you are phenomenal at that, okay, what's next? You can only kick, punch, work out, physically train for so long until, you have to go to a different level. Why not? You big and bad, why not take these mushrooms and go see what's out there? Go step into a different reality and see what's out there. You can get in the cage and fight somebody all day where, you got referees and stuff, but go out there where there's a green man, see if you can fight that. You ain't gonna die.
And it's funny, again, going back and forth, but because you mentioned the cage, and I was thinking, I've been seeing, like MMA fighters. I think even Joe Rogan, on his podcast has interviewed a few of the, UFC fighters who now give testimony to working with, mushrooms and other, other forms of technology to support them in their training and fighting. And I guess some people, it's legal, they're able to do that. And I guess some people say, hey, that's an enhancement. Just like, taking, people take steroids and stuff to enhance their, their physique and so forth in training. But like we said, it's like an organic component. It comes out of that experience. So I guess that these fighters, it's helping them with their fighting, it's in itself as fighters, but then it's also the healing side of it, because then they're saying, man, I've got pains in my back, I've got pains in my knees, and they're using the technologies in different ways. So it's coming like a common, element now to, or let's say it's coming full circle, it's coming back around to how fighters, I guess, were dealing with, their fighting, their martial arts, as well as the healing processes and using the technologies, man.
Yeah, but we, that's still, the beginning phases of it. You know what I'm saying? It's about, taking them higher doses. Because of what I've seen is, some of the most beautiful things in the galaxy. Most of it is not beautiful. But, I've gone to different planets where, my lineage is. I've seen the deities of Kemet and stuff like that in real time. And you got a lot of folks who are into the meta-nature and things like that. And I'm like, if you take these mushrooms, at a significant dose, you can actually meet these folks, and talk to them, and then all of a sudden you understand that, it's not just a myth, it's not just fantasy. They're an actual being. They're just not in this dimension. They're in a dimension next to ours.
And before we go there, I just want to stick with the martial arts side of things, and just looking at the rites of passages for young boys, or even young girls, young fighters, and how again, because it reminds me of like the stuff that Cradle Before was saying, that in part of the initiation rites you have the physical initiation, there's a spiritual initiation, and part of that is understanding the plants and so forth. Was there, or is there, like a traditional fighting science that you're aware of that people could is it just the Tamerrian Institute, or is there other ancient practices where they've got these components to it?
A lot of cultures have them, but they just don't give them to people that's not in their village and their culture and things like that. This is for them. This is what the secret was. That's in Africa, that's what it was. They take the young boys or the young girls and they give them a psychedelic component, and maybe mushrooms, and maybe something else, depends on who they are. But that's what it is. So they can go take their rites of passages, because in Africa, there's a dance for everything. You've been doing this dance since you was a baby, you know what I'm saying? So, once you get to a certain age, that's when they take you and they show you what the dance is, what the dance really is, what the dance is for. And you're like, man, I've been doing this my whole life.
Wax on, wax off.
I didn't, exactly. That's what, about to say this, our basic dance, you think you're just dancing, but once you take your rites of passage, you find out what the dances are for. You find out why you wear certain things. You find out, that it's more than this. You find out, who you are for real. You find out why your name is your name. You find out, why you're in this village. You find out that you've been in this village for many a lifetimes. You find all those things out through your rites of passage. And the mushrooms are what does it. Because before then, it's just a myth, the orishas or whatever, you go experience them on the mushrooms. You experience the power of the dance by taking those psychedelics. You do certain things, and it's actual power in it that you can feel, that you can generate, that you can do things with, and you can't really get it without taking the mushrooms. It may happen, you may feel it once in your life, but once you take the mushrooms, you can do it at will, until we're able to, until we evolve, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? People like, it may be a time where we don't need the mushrooms, but I'm not, we're not there yet. I can't, it's a part of us, and a lot of people still to this day, well, I don't need that, I don't need it. And like, it's mushrooms. It's like, I could say that about some herbalists, I'm saying, oh, I don't need them herbs, you know what I'm saying, I'm good, but the herbs can help you, the herbs can advance you, the herbs can help your body become something greater. You can, you can take this, you can take that. So what's wrong with a mushroom? Mushroom enhances you, So anybody who knocking it ain't really,
don't knock it till you try it.
And that'd be my thing. I'm like, well, if you don't want to try it, that's fine. But all I'm saying is, don't knock it until you try it. It may be exactly what you need.
Well, I must say, bro, like I've been on a lifelong journey of growth and development, spirituality, all that type of stuff. And it wasn't until I come across your dad's work and what he was presenting to the world, you know, the real enhancement of my lifestyle and choices that I'm going to be making moving forward in my life. And I know he's done that for many others. And obviously you grew up in a household with him, and now we know him for martial arts, we know him for the mushroom, but at the same time he was a father, man.
Yeah.
He was he had other roles as well, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And not many people are aware of that, man. So, you know, I had the opportunity to roll and hang. I've seen him smile, I've seen him laugh, and you know, but other people just see a serious side to him. So on that note, to bring the human side out of, you know, the role that he played, man, could you share some of, you know, your experiences with him growing up, or, you know, something along those lines?
Well, but I say one thing about Baba is he was a very serious person, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, he still had all these other sides. He was loving, you know, he was funny sometimes, but he was a real man, you know what I'm saying? He was the type of father that, you know, if he told you to do something, you did it, you know, it wasn't no waiting, you know, I'll do it later, it wasn't no nothing, you did it. But he was just the perfect example of a man, you know. He said he made sure, you know, to make sure I was manly. He put me in football and wrestling and martial, you know, of course, martial arts. But yeah, he was, like I said, I would meet people and they'd find out who he was, and it'd just be like mind boggled. But yeah, he was even regular to me, you know. It's like I still looked at him like he was this great, you know what I'm saying? So people are like, you know, how was he as a father? I'm like, he was just great, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to explain because he was so phenomenal, but he was, you know, still a person, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to explain. Now that I'm actually trying to explain it, it's hard to explain. But he was just, you know, he was just a man. That's what I'm saying. He was, you know, he was rough. He was, you know, the type of person that'll wake me up and tell me to chop down a tree. Like literally, you know, take that axe and go cut that tree down. I'm like, I don't know how to cut a tree. But that's the way he taught, you know. You learn by doing, you know what I'm saying? I was like in Detroit, the only child knew how to chop wood, you know, and now, you know, seeing that that's what it was, I know how to chop wood, and I didn't even know that was something people had to learn how to do, because I just did it growing up. You know what I'm saying? Every time I see somebody pick up an axe, it's like, wait, stop, you know, it's a technique to it, don't just swing it like that. So he was, you know, he just lived his life as an example. I remember him saying that, and once he said it, I was like, oh shoot, you know, I really did, you know, look at you like that, you know what I'm saying? You know, he would do stuff all the time, and you didn't know he was teaching you. But, you know, you find out as you get older, because, you know, he would, no matter what time it was, I could be dog sleep, and he'll yell my name, you know. I'll be sleeping, he'd be, Ramessu! And then it jolts you out your sleep, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, growing up, you know, you get used to it. You know, I'm used to getting jolted out of my sleep. But he said, I didn't realize it until I was older. He was like, you know, you got to be ready, even in your sleep. You got to be up and be able to do things right then and there. So if something happened, you can't be asleep. And I didn't realize, you know, I was at an ex-girlfriend's house, and there was something, I don't know what it was, but her window like exploded open. And as soon as it exploded open, like I'm upstairs, and by the time it exploded open, I was downstairs like this, and didn't even realize I was downstairs like that until I was, you know, after it was all over. And little things like that is how he taught, you know, to make sure, you know, folks was on point. You know, he would always tell me to, you know, be aware of your surroundings. That's the type of father he was, you know, little stuff like that. Because, you know, him, you know, he believed that, you know, children and adult things are completely different. So I didn't know him like Voodoo knew him and stuff like that. Like, you know, because he was just, you know, I ain't your friend, I'm your father type person. You know what I'm saying? You know, but you know, the way he was on an everyday basis. And there's a ton of little things like waking me up out of my sleep that I didn't find out till later that he was teaching. You know what I'm saying? To make sure, you know, I am who I am now. You know, I'm, you know, I don't, you know, like I'm kind of humble too, but you know, I'm a bad man because of the little things. You know, jolting you out your sleep and being ready immediately. But I say that's a skill in itself. Yeah, but I say it was interesting. You know, got a million stories. Yeah, but I say it's just interesting. It's like I didn't realize how hard it was to explain until just now. But yeah, he was an interesting man, you know. And there's a lot I found out, you know, just as an adult about him, because you know, there's a lot folks don't know about him. You know, I hear new stories all the time. But yeah, he was just a great man, you know. But he was still very humble, you know, very, you know, just a walk up, you know, you could talk to him, you know, and anybody, you know, be like, oh man, yeah, and he'd just be like, people would be a fan of him, you could call him up, and he'd just be like, hey, how's it going, you know what I'm saying?
For sure. For me, I think I mentioned yesterday, man, I've had many teachers in my life, man, and it's kind of similar. Obviously, he was raised with him, but it's just that hands-off teacher approach is what I really appreciated, because you get so many teachers that, like as I said, want to make you them. They want you to do it the way they do it, and I definitely gathered from him, he was like, you know, live and let learn kind of approach here, man.
But he was the one that'd give you tools, you know what I'm saying, to cut down a tree, go get the axe and go do it. You know, you learn by doing. He would give you the tool. He would tell you to take the mushroom. He wouldn't take the mushroom and then come back and be like this, that, and the third. He puts things in your hands.
That's right.
That's how I was raised.
That's responsibility, man. That's being responsible.
Yeah, and he put me around other men who were like real men. You know what I'm saying? Like, shouts out to my wrestling coach, you know, Glenn Washington, you know, who was one of his students in the martial arts. He made sure I was around other people, you know, who could help mold me into somebody who was, you know, responsible, who was strong, who could deal with anything, because that's what it's about. You know, martial arts and taking these mushrooms is not about just fighting. It's about being able to deal with, you know, whatever's out there in any realm of reality. It's about being an ultimate force in the universe. You know what I'm saying? So he knew what he was doing. You know, he was, oh man, Baba was so smart. It didn't make no sense, you know. Thousands of books, you know. He was the type of person who would catch a flight to Rome just so he can go to a library just to read one book, sleep out on a park bench, you know, like be out there for a week not knowing where he was going to go next, not knowing what he was going to eat, but for that information he would go, you know, and then come back and then, you know, still just a regular person, you know, but he was, you know, yeah, and he could retain information. You know what I'm saying? He could, like, he was a comic book guy too. Like, he would remember a book from the 60s, you know, and in the bubble on the 66 page what they said. No, they said such a verbatim. I'm like, how would you remember that? You know what I'm saying? I got comic books. I don't remember, you know, I don't remember nothing. But his ability to retain information was what made him who he was too. You know what I'm saying? You know, and you know, just seeing that. You know, I was always watching as a baby, growing up. You know, I was learning martial arts by watching. You know, I'd be in class. You know, a baby, he'd, you know, face me that way because babies learn that way too. You know, he was always. You know, I was always in class. You know, he would have martial artists come through. I'm learning. You know, with everybody else.
Got you. Yeah, man. Makes sense.
Yeah, I do stuff now I learned as a baby and don't even really realize I remember it. It just comes out. You know what I'm saying? Taking mushrooms helped me remember. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's, you know, whatever you learned is in there. You know, as soon as you do a move, it's downloaded into your, you know, into your cells. You know, as soon as you do one little thing, it's all downloaded. You know?
No, I'm feeling this, man. Like, again, it's just bringing all of, it's like, as you say, man, earlier on, it's like all the movies. Obviously in the Matrix, man, you know, and like, as I said, I refer to your father as like the Morpheus, you know, gave many of us, like there's me, you know, that red pill option, man, you know what I'm saying? And then, like you said, then you can go in and download your files, you know what I'm saying? What you need in the here and now that supports you moving forward.
Yeah, because Yeah, because who you are, you know, like, Bible always said, you're never gonna do things like I do them. You're gonna do them how you are, because you're a total different.
That's right.
Entity. So you got to learn for yourself. It's all a self journey. You know what I'm saying? And that's what he ingrained in me and the rest of the students.
That's wicked, man.
That it's all about it's all about your self journey, alone in the dark. And I recently, really understood that. Especially by him. As he transitioned, I was listening to a lecture he did, and it was almost like he was talking directly to me when I was listening to it. It was on a radio show, and he said, because I was supposed to get certain things when I turned 40. I'm not 40 yet, and I was just really feeling that, like, I was just like, man, I couldn't even have made it till I got to this, age for him to pass certain things to me, and I was really, feeling that, like, dang, but as I was feeling that, I started listening to one of his lectures, and he said, this is how it's done. He was like, if your teacher passes before your last lessons, you take 20 grams and go get them. And I've been doing that, and it's like, damn, I really like to be able to take 20, 30 grams is an ordeal in itself. So it's always worth it. You know what I'm saying? But I took 30 grams, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever did in my life. But it was worth it. The information is worth any of the, I'm about to say, it's an ordeal, and I was, going for a long time. But you get all this information from a long time in one night. You know what I'm saying? To be able to access my, ancestors and stuff like that is worth, all sorts of stuff. Think about what your ancestors sacrificed and did for you. You know what I'm saying? So this, it's, what it's about. It's not about being easy. It's about actually doing some work. It's about, taking them high doses and things like that. It's about, going to those realms. To actually be able to talk to somebody who ain't here, and not just their, human self, their self that is infinite, that has always existed, is more than profound. It's like how can you even explain that to a person who ain't never experienced? It may sound cool, but to actually do it is phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? It is beyond anything I could, it's a gift. Even though it was extremely difficult, just to eat them and eat that much alone is hard. Because I look at like, how you eat that much? I'm like, you just do it. I'm like, you just eat it. I didn't say it was gonna be easy, because just eating it is hard, but you still do it. And I feel like a lot of people don't want to do anything that's hard. They don't want to do that work. But that's the beauty in it for me. That's the love. That's the the light in it, in the darkness. To go in the darkness. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, man, I really appreciate the sharing, bro, and just, that in itself reminds me of the famous quote that I heard from your pops, and gets spreaded all over the place. It's a journey of the alone into the alone, man.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't even imagine what it would be like, when people are putting it on you, like standing in your father's footsteps and all of that type of energy. But I think you got it right, like you're you, you know what I'm saying, and your father raised you in that way, which I think is really, a powerful path to move on.
And taking the mushrooms are really helping me with that, because it was an immense amount of pressure. Like, a lot of people who I look at, I always looked at certain people a certain way, because I've been growing up, they Babas and stuff like that, and all of a sudden they looking at me like, all right, what we gonna do? You the man now, you the one now, you gotta do all this. What we gonna? I'm like, man, I don't like how. I'm figuring that out too. But taking the mushrooms, I've been able to, come to grips with, like I said, I'm not Baba. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning by doing. You know what I'm saying? All of this is for a reason. It's not supposed to be easy. Him leaving at that point was what was supposed to happen for me to be who I am and who I'm going to be. I'm learning how to, step up even more. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's a journey in itself to be to be who I'm becoming. Because it was like the Tamerrian Institute. The Tamerrian Institute holds a lot of weight. You know what I'm saying? At this point, it ain't even really physical training for me. Even though I train all the time, it's not. That's not what it's about. It's certain things about the Tamerrian Institute that nobody knows. You know what I'm saying? That I have to deal with now. And on top of dealing with that, the world around me is, constantly wanting me to move and do things, and I'm like, this stuff, this entities that I deal with now that I didn't even know existed, but when Baba passed, they just walked up to me now, you know what I'm saying? Like in real life, and I'm like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? And it's like the things that he held spiritually and stuff like that, I hold now, and people don't realize the weight of that, you know what I'm saying? But through taking the mushrooms and stuff like that, I'm able to slowly, be able to handle certain things, and it's all a journey, this experience, and that's one thing too. Like Baba would never just tell you certain things; he wanted you to figure it out. And like if I just tell you, I just tell you. It ain't you learning nothing. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And then once you figure something out, you run to him, and then you're like, I've been waiting for you to, figure that out. Then he'll put you on he may, send you in a certain direction, but he's not just gonna hand it to you.
Yeah, man. I feel you on that one. Bro, big up, man. Really appreciate the sharing today, man. I know it's going to be the first of many. I hope really.
Yeah, I'm about to say, because I just started doing interviews and things, so I'm learning as I do. Hopefully I did a good interview or whatever.
We're just conversating, man. And I know you can do that, man. So
yeah, I'm about to say, and it's you. Like I said, if I wouldn't do this for nobody else, I'd do it for you. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
So on that note, man, for those who are checking in and want to know more, how do we find more about the Tamerrian Institute? How do we connect with you as well, bro?
Well, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is Ramessu Iyi. My name Ramessu, last name Iyi. My Instagram is Aker_Ramessu, AKER_RAMESSU. And I'm getting somebody to build a website because Baba had a website and I don't know what happened to it, you know what I'm saying? So we're working on a website, we're working on getting an actual building, we're training at a couple places, but we're working on getting the actual Tamerrian Institute so we can really get some things going, just follow me on the social medias.
Cool, man.
That's pretty much it on that. You know what I'm saying?
Man. Yeah, I'll put the links and stuff in the description and so forth, bro.
Yeah.
But on that note, man, it's been good talking Slop with you, fam. I really appreciate the sharing, as I said, and I think this is how, and the legacy will continue, in different ways, different forms.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing you grow, man, in your own, in your own element, doing your thing and bringing the teaching to the community, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
No, love, man, every time, man.
Yeah.
Peace.